Um, who is your favorite president?
Eisenhower.
Why was he the?
Well, he was my hero. I served under him in World War II. He was my commanding officer, and he was always an idol of mine. And I took his picture a few times. Had a one assignment where I had to go out and take a picture of Eisenhower coming off a plane at the airport. And I had to get a black and white, a color, and shoot a 4x5 to send to the newspapers. And I had one shot at each camera to do it. As he was coming down the stairs from the airplane. And as he was coming down, I grabbed a shot. I got 3 cameras hanging around my neck. One was black and white, one was for color, then I had the speed graphic to shoot for the slide. And I got it, but it wasn't easy.
How old was he at that point? How old was he? Went around that time.
It was right after we got out of the presidency. So it was probably in the 70s.
But during the wartime, you admired him because he was sort of in charge of the war, and he
I did see him once overseas when he was I was in Eisenhower. After the war ended, I was in Eisenhower headquarters, and I saw him once over there, talking to a bunch of guys, and I just happened to. A very easygoing, likable man, and he was a great president.
Yeah.
During his time in office, the country was in great shape. Everybody thought we'd get into a war if we had a general as the president, but it didn't work out that way. We had peace almost all the while he was in.
What about and JFK? You feel similar? John Kennedy, you feel similarly about?
Favorite who?
Kennedy.
Kennedy, yeah. I worked with Kennedy. I spent the whole week with him when he was campaigning in California. Very nice guy, easy guy to work with, and I couldn't get a bad picture. I probably shot 400 pictures of him, and every one turned out good. He's very photogenic, and a very likable guy, a hard-working president.
Yeah. But he was.
Too bad he was assassinated.
What was that like? What was it like when you heard about that happening, when he was assassinated?
When he was assassinated,
Mm-hmm.
I was in the '60s. I guess it was tough. It's a tough time.
What did that mean? What did that say? That something like that could happen? Like, what did that mean to the
People
country?
took it hard. Of all the presidents, he was a well-liked guy, a great personality. Got along with like everybody. When I was traveling around with him, he always shook hands with you. It was all through campaigning. He went down the line with all the motorcycle policemen and shook hands with them. Just a great personality. He had a bad back, I told you, when he was in the service. And no matter where he went, the Secret Service always had a pillow. And they dropped a pillow behind his back before he sat down. Because he was in a lot of pain most of the time. But he never showed it.
That's pretty cool. And what about Marilyn Monroe?
I never got her picture. I went to a party one night. She was going to be there, some celebrity event, and I waited and waited, and she never showed up. And I left around midnight, and I found out the next day that she came right after I left. So I never took her picture. I always wanted to, because she was a gorgeous gal.
Yeah, she'd probably be the same way. You couldn't take a bad picture of her.
Yeah.
What did she represent to pop culture at that time?
Who?
Marilyn Monroe. Like, what was her?
Oh, she was
her present. I mean,
she
that
was
was
a top
like
star. Top star of our time. She's a great actress. Great actress, a good comedian, good all around good talent. She had good voice too.
And she died, but in a sort of curious way. Is that
Yeah, yeah.
is that true, or what do you think?
To this day, it's a mystery. They don't know how some say it was suicide, some people said she was murdered, and nobody ever really solved it. There's still stories written about it.
Yeah, it's likely it was some funny business happening. Who was your favorite sports hero?
Oh, I have a few. Babe Ruth, Joe DiMaggio, Arnold Palmer. Babe Ruth, when I got out of the service, I used to take my dog for a walk in New York where my folks lived. And Babe Ruth lived right around the corner. And I used to see him every night. I used to stop and talk to him. Wonderful guy. He always had a camel hair coat and had a cap. But a very, very wonderful man. I was going across the George Washington Bridge one time, and it was bumper to bumper traffic. No, couldn't figure out what it was. I got up to the toll booth, and there's Babe Ruth off to the side, changing a flat tire for a woman. And all the policemen are standing around him. Nobody was blowing the horn because it was Babe Ruth. He was just a fantastic guy, great personality.
So he caused all the traffic because people
Yeah.
wanted his.
But because it was Babe Ruth, nobody cared. You know?
How about DiMaggio? What did you like?
Fabulous. To me, he was the greatest all-around baseball player that ever lived. Wonderful, very quiet man. I met him a couple of times when I was with Look magazine, went to Look All American, and they give the trophies out to the football players. And they had a cocktail party before, and a lot of the sports figures show up, like Jackie Robinson and Joe DiMaggio, Yogi Berra. And I got to meet a lot of them around that time. But Joe was a great guy. I remember when Mickey Mantle was breaking in, he used to take him out to center field and before the game start and work with him. Field the balls with him
That's
and
cool.
break him in.
And then, did he have a restaurant, or did?
Yeah. It's a spaghetti place called Butoni's.
Okay.
It was terrific. They served the spaghetti on a big belt that came out from the kitchen.
That's great.
And I think at that time you could eat all you want. Pay one price and eat 3 or 4 plates of spaghetti.
And then in times like that, the sports stars and citizens were sort of equals. Would you say?
Yeah,
Like you could,
yeah.
I mean, you could talk to
Yeah,
to
a lot.
just
Most of them were very cooperative when I photographed. Of course, they want to be photographed, so they cooperated. Had a trouble with only one real bad one was Lana Turner. She was awful hard to work with. And I was taking a picture, and I put my arm on her shoulder, and she said, "Don't ever touch me."
wow. What was her problem? You think?
She was a widow.
Just didn't want to be
Character.
touched.
But most of them are cooperative. I worked with all sports figures. Golfers, Arnold Palmer I worked with, and Sam Snead, Ben Hogan. Some of guys you never heard of.
Yeah, I haven't heard of those guys. But Arnold Palmer, he was
Yeah,
one of
Palmer,
your favorite.
great guy. Great, wonderful guy.
So you followed boxing too.
Oh.
You used to go to boxing matches.
Yeah,
That was pretty popular.
yeah. A couple of jobs. Had a couple of dog shows I did up there. And I covered the dog show in New Jersey in Madison Square Garden. That's when I was at Look magazine. And I couldn't become a photographer, so I was supervisor of the photo department. And they wanted to keep me there as a supervisor, but they used to give me assignments on the weekend.
Oh wow.
That's how I got broken in. But I always wanted to be a press photographer, because I went to photography school and I studied all kinds of photography. And the toughest and the most interesting is the press photographer, because because you never know what you're going to be doing the next day.
Yeah.
You may work 7 days a week at 24 hours a day. I may be up in an airplane or down in a diving bell. It's just, you never know. I take pictures of celebrities, pictures of sports figures, Hollywood shows, Broadway musicals. It's all kinds of photography.
And you did take up in the plane. What happened? That was a.
I took I guess it was the shopping pavilion down in Orange County, and Howard Edgerton was an Edgerton Savings and Loan. It was a Cal Fed, I guess it was. He was the president, and he had a plane, and he flew his own helicopter, and it took off from the top of the building, and we went down to Orange County and shot all the locations where these stores were going to be, and then we flew back again, and I couldn't get any pictures because there was a door on the helicopter. So he said, let's take the door off.
Well.
Because he said, the door's not helping you. The only thing that's helping you is the seatbelt that holds you in. So it was great because the door was off. I could get easy. At that time, I had shooting pictures with speed graphic, 4x5 speed graphic. It was a lot harder in those days.
How so?
They didn't have automatic cameras and
oh, right. So you always had to be setting up or whatever, be prepared. Was there a time when you didn't get the photos that you needed, like when you were?
Yeah. There was one time it was taking pictures for Gatorade when the Gatorade first came out.
Yeah.
And we went all over California. We shot basketball players holding Gatorade and baseball players, golfers, and all kinds of athletes. And I went from all over California taking all these pictures. Probably shot about 3 or 4 pictures at each location. I think it was probably over 100 pictures. And we sent them back to New York, but they wanted to develop them back there. So we put them on a plane. A flight attendant came down and picked them up for me and took them on a plane and took them back to New York. They got back to New York, they developed them, they were all blank.
Jeez.
Because they figured the x-ray on the plane or something exposed them.
Yeah.
So I had to do it all over again. I had to go back and do the same job, but instead of taking 3 or 4 pictures, I took one.
Because you had
just hoping it was okay.
Time restraint at
Yeah.
that point. That's cool.
When I was your big worry as a photographer was making sure you got the shot. It's cause in press photography, you have to work fast. Sometimes you only get one shot. It's not like setting up and shooting a model or studio photography. We got all the time in the world. When you do press photography, you got to work fast.
Because it's something that's happening live.
Yeah.
And you have to grab it when it's available.
Then when you're shooting like on a presidential, when you're campaigning, there's a lot of photographers, and they're all trying to get a good shot. They're all bumping into each other, and so it's a struggle.
Yeah.
But a lot of fun.
Sounds like it's fun. What about music? What kind of music did you have a good time shooting? Like
the musical comedy and shows?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did one working at the music center. All the shows that came in, we did the photography. So that's easy because you just sit in the first row and take pictures.
That's great. So you get to see all the performances.
Yeah,
and that's cool. But New York, there's a lot of shows happening all the time.
I worked on TV shows with Johnny Carson and Steve Allen. In fact, I got a picture up there, Johnny Carson and Steve Allen on the elephant. First one on top.
Oh, yeah. That's cool.
A lot of celebrities, Jack Benny. Joe Louis and Archie Moore. You know Joe Louis.
I know Joe Louis, yeah.
The biggest thrill I had in my life, I was playing golf at Fox Hills Country Club. It's a par 5 hole, about 150 yards, and I got a hole in one.